please welcome JV.
How are y'all doing today? Y'all weak. How y'all doing today for real? Awesome. So I'm glad to be here to communicate to you guys and ladies and gentlemen about making the transition from high school to college and telling you about the keys to success to do well, not only from a school perspective, but also to do well from a life perspective. We always get into situations where we talk about what is it like to do well in school? What do you need to do well in school? What classes do I need to take? But a lot of that is more so educational based, but I want to kind of give you keys and gems about practicality, right? And what you really need to be successful when you get out in the real world. So I want to kind of stay in that lane. We can reverse engineer our mindsets and our thought processes and really talk about what you need to know to be successful. So I want to bring you through a little bit of a story about myself and some of my background as she had relayed to you a little bit earlier. But let's talk a little bit about where I came from. Oh, and by the way, let's look at this picture real quick. Why do you guys think that I made the presentation from an iceberg from the bottom going up? Who can tell me? What do you guys think? What's the reason why? From a theoretical perspective. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Be a little louder. Go ahead. Good. All right. Almost. You're right there, though. You're right there. Anybody else want to also add to that? Yes, ma'am. Almost. Okay. The better you do, the more noticeable you become. We'll give one more shot. Anybody else want to try another one? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That too, right? So a lot of things. A combination of all three is why I made this, because you experience life's hardest challenges underneath surfaces and underneath the water before you have a breakthrough and you're at the tip of the iceberg, right? So that's why I chose an iceberg for this presentation, because that is where our life's challenges kind of hold us. So let's talk a little bit about who I am and my journey, right? You're probably, who is this guy? Where did he come from, right? So let's talk about it for a second. I spent my time I didn't come from Texas. I wasn't born here. I was actually partly raised in California and on the East Coast, and had some time. I was growing up in a military family, so my parents were in the Air Force. So I spent time living in Japan, Okinawa, Japan, and also spent time in Korea and Seoul. Of course, on the South Korea side, not the North Korea continent side. So that was a great time. And having a general all-around view of what education and what living life looked like from a young perspective gave me the opportunity to be able to do what I'm doing today and understand how life works, right? So you can imagine a situation, right? I was young. I tutored college algebra when I was 10 years old. I was a freshman, 12 years old in high school. I graduated at 16, so I was fairly young. And then I moved to graduate. If you guys are familiar with a school called Town View Science Engineering, I went there my last year of high school, spent some time in Arizona going to school as well. And then how many are familiar with the Naval Academy in Annapolis? Or West Point, or any of the service academies, right? So went to the service academy a couple of years and ended up transferring out to University of Texas of Arlington, because at the time they didn't have computer engineering as a major. They had systems engineering, and what I wanted to do in Intel in the Navy, I didn't want to spend my time not majoring in what I wanted to major in, so I decided to kind of jump out with a computer engineering major, then went to information systems with a minor in mathematics, and then went to the field in all those different fields you see up there. Got a chance to win a couple of awards. Those of you familiar with Dallas Business Journal, I became 40 last year, and just had a lot of great success with things. And so now, moving forward, how many of y'all are familiar with the TED Network? TED Talks. Awesome. I love TED Talks, man. A lot of inspiring stories. I had an opportunity to do a TEDx talk on education, which was awesome. It was about 5-6 weeks ago, actually, here in Dallas, in the Oak Cliff area. And we had some nice nuggets of information for education. I was a contributor, and as of yesterday, found out I was accepted as a Forbes Fellow. So great stuff coming, right, for the tutoring company. We're doing a lot of great things for students. So why don't you do a little bit of background for today? Today, Collin County, right, recently got another feature, right, as most stylish, which is kind of cool. I try to be a little stylish every now and then, right, with the jacket and the socks, right? So got that, and then right now we're one of the top tutoring companies in Collin County, servicing students from 5 years old, which is first grade, to doctorate PhD level in all STEM subjects, test preps, English, reading, writing, and foreign languages. So we're making sure that you guys get what you need to get out there to go to college, and then make sure you're prepared when you get out into the real world. So let's talk a little bit about stuff, right? I sat right where you were many years ago. I'm a millennial, so I'm the generation right before yours. And it was my senior year. I was a little guy. I was like 4'11", and I had this. Y'all can imagine a backpack, and you just like walking through the hallways looking like this. Like you look like a little turtle. That's kind of how my back was. I had so many AP books, and I was like, I can't deal with this, right? It's too much. But my parents were like, nah, you're gonna graduate. You're gonna get this information. You're gonna learn today, right? So I had AP classes. Was in band, had extracurricular activities, and had a girlfriend at the time and all that good stuff. But what do you do your senior year? What are you supposed to be doing? So outside of class and doing your normal day-to-day journey and making things happen, you have to look at testing, right? So what are the big tests you have to take in high school? SAT and ACT, right? Gotta get that done. So thought about doing that, right? Of course, with that being said, you take the ACT and the SAT, you're all frantic about, man, I gotta make this score, I gotta get this 30, I gotta get this 1560 or this 1600, and it's just stressful, right? It's just stressful on top of all other things you're doing, whether it's AP, IB, dual credit, all this crazy stuff, right? But you have to remember, at the end of the day, it's about what you wanna do and where you're going. You cannot live your life for anybody else but you. So testing is part of it. Then we also have to look at a little crazy thing called scholarships, right? And financial aid. How many of y'all familiar with those, right? Everybody, right? So I was one of the few lucky people to get through school and not have any school loans, surprisingly, right? And not have to worry about that. My scholarship, I had $385,000 worth of scholarship money to go to school after high school graduating. And then had grants as well. So you want to be in that particular scenario where you apply early enough to ensure you have enough money to go to school. So financial aid and scholarships, and then of course you have to apply, right? Whether it's regular decision, early decision, whether it's an Ivy League school or a top school or a state school or a private school, all this stuff you have to think about and make sure your journey is fulfilled in high school. So now we're out of that bucket, right? We then come into the next step, is asking for help. How many of y'all, it's just hard for you to ask for help? You just think you can do it on your own. Just be honest. I was the same way. I was like, man, I can do whatever. Look, I don't need nobody's help. I'm just gonna get it done, right? So make sure that you ask for help. Whether you go to your parents, you make sure you go to your counselors. Their job is to ensure that you have what you need in order for you to be successful. All right, so ask for help. Make sure you explore the world. You do not have to have the same things, or you don't want the same things your friends have. So you have a group of friends. What I decided to do when I was in high school, my senior year, was who are the people that are gonna help me out the most when I'm in my class? I wanted to have a circle of influence that I could go to when I was struggling in my classes. And so you want to build a circle of people that you can go to in your network and say, hey man, I need help in this calculus work. I'm struggling. And you're already taken care of. You don't have to worry about that. Then build study groups and things like that. Have passion, okay? If you can find a passion of something that you love to do, find it and stick with it. And by the way, everybody should have some notebook paper in here because we got some gems that we're going to do today. It's going to be crazy, right? So find your passion and stick with it. In my case, I liked IT, and I thought I was going to be a CIO of a Fortune 100 company. And that was my goal, was to, when I worked at Microsoft and I worked at Baylor Healthcare IT and a bunch of other places, I wanted to be the top dog in tech in the company and be able to make things happen in IT. But sorry, I had another plan apparently by the higher being that said, hey, you need to be in education. So I decided to jump out of IT and tech and got called to teach. And that's what my passion was, and I stuck with it. But the crazy statistic is that more than 75 to 80% of people actually leave this earth and die before they actually live their life. Meaning they developed and found passion, have exemplified it, impacted the world, before they left. It's a sad statistic, but it's true. Now, let's talk about decisions. How many of you guys make decisions without even trying? You just say, some people try food, right? I don't like onions. Have you tried them? I personally don't like guacamole. So, things like that. If I haven't tried it, I'm like, I don't know about that yet. But, sometimes you can't go through life sometimes without trying something, right? You have to make some sort of approach at it, right? You may think, I don't want to do engineering, but have you tried a class? Maybe I don't want to be in graphic design. Well, have you tried to develop a graph or draw anything or make any type of marketing materials? You don't know exactly what you're going to do in college your freshman year too. You get a chance to explore yourself. You get a chance to find out what you like and what you really don't like, what you didn't know or was exposed to before. It's one of those things you have to do, right? But don't make decisions without trying. Now, this is important. Don't value someone else's opinion more than you value your own. Your parents will tell you to do many things, which are great things, right? You're supposed to do those kind of things and follow their lead. But you're not living your life for them. You're not living your life for your parents. You're not living your life for your uncle, your aunts, and your family, but you're living your life for who? You, right? You're going to be the one that's going to go graduate and have a job of some sort or be an entrepreneur or whatever you decide to do. You have to take control of your life and follow your dream. But we spend so much time listening to other people and keeping up with the Joneses and following up with other people's dreams that we lose sight of where we're going in our own dreams and in our own lives, and we're living life for somebody else. How many of y'all have been driving down the road and you say, man, I love that car, or I see that house, I want that house, I want to be like this person, I want to be like Kylie Jenner, I want to be like Cardi B, right? I want to be like so-and-so. What you see on the outside sometimes is not where the goal is, but it is rather what you work for hard enough to get what you're looking for at the end of the path. Okay? So please don't live life according to somebody else's journey. Let's talk about judgment too. Well, the big thing is bullying, right? Isn't that what's been going around for the past year or two, right? Bullying in school and judgment of people. Cyberbullying, all that good stuff on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever the case may be. It's a lot of judgment. People pass judgment on you based on how you dress, based on how you look, based on how you perform, based on this, based on that. It's so much negativity in the world now that we have to focus on the positive. What is the ROI of us doing great things? What is the ROI of us helping others? What is the ROI for us making an impact in our life, in our education, and in our school system, right? Remember that too. Also, if your friends are there and doing something in high school, if you're not feeling it, then you don't have to do it, okay? Peer pressure is a lot too, right? We deal with that in high school too. I'm sure you guys have gone to parties and you've been like, man, you gotta make a decision. How many of y'all been faced with a decision before that says, you got, in the same week, you got 3 AP exams, but there's this cool party, man, that you wanna go to, that's your homeboy or your homegirl is like, man, hey, come to this party today. But you got 3 AP tests sitting right there on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and it's a Friday night. How many of y'all been like that in that situation before? You had to look at and make that decision of partying, AP tests. Partying, making this semester exam work. Doing this or going to apply for this school. You have to make those decisions. I was faced with a lot of that, whether I was dating somebody, seeing a girl that I liked, or seeing some things that I wanted to go to, going to the movies and all that. But you have to make those decisions, and if you're not feeling some of those decisions, then you don't have to do those. You gotta look at what's optimal for you and be positive. There are a lot of other influences going around in the northern areas of Dallas, which are untalked about, and there are other influences everywhere else, whether it's southern Dallas or anywhere else in the UFW or other metroplex cities, where you get influenced by, peer pressure, drugs, even all this stuff that's negative. You have to make the right decisions for you to make your impact the best. Build. We talked about this before. building your group predicated on what you want to be and what you want to do. If you know you want to be an engineer, then your group that you surround yourself with should be people who are STEM based, right? Who are science, technology, engineering, and math. Or if you want to be a graphic designer, you want to build yourself around people who are more liberal art based. But at the end of the day, you want to build your platform on a situation where you're going to have the utmost respect for yourself, the people you hang around with, and lead at some day. Okay. Now let's talk about self-awareness. This is the biggest thing that high schoolers struggle with going into college, and they make the most craziest errors on because they don't know how to build self-awareness. All right, one of my favorite guys, if you guys are familiar with motivational speakers or business people, how many of y'all have heard of a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk before? They call him Gary V. All right, so if you know Gary V, he'll be at the Forbes Summit when I go next week in Boston. He always talks about building self-awareness, and you have to know exactly who you are as a person to develop competencies for you to be in the career you want to be in and to live the life that you want to live. But if you don't know who you are, you can't help anybody else, and you can't make the general impact that you need to make. So build self-awareness and know who you are, what you're going to do to get to who you want to be, how you're going to get there, the why and the when with deadlines. But have self-awareness to know that. And also know your strengths and weaknesses. Some of us don't know what our weaknesses are. We just think that we're good at everything. I'm good at math, I'm good at science, I'm good at mowing the lawn, I'm good at doing this, I'm good at painting, right? But we don't always admit to our faults and admit that we don't know something. It comes as part of self-awareness. We talked about earlier about, thinking that we know everything, but we don't. I'm honest enough to say that I'm not the person that, I can draw, but that's not my job, right? I don't know it. I don't understand everything about nuclear physics. But I can go ask somebody else, right? I have enough self-awareness to know that I'm not a pro at that. But I can go find the information from somebody else who does know. Okay, so please build self-awareness, and you'll find this also in college. Your self-awareness will change a little bit too. Your freshman year, your sophomore year. How many of you guys want to go to Ivy Leagues? Anybody want to go to Ivy League school? One person maybe? All right, what about state school in Texas somewhere? Okay, anybody go out of state? Out of state, like maybe California or New York or something like that? Possibly? Okay, cool. So your self-awareness will change based on the school you go to. Whether you're at Harvard or Stanford, where you're coming into and even at the academies, you have to remember you're no longer the big fish anymore. When you go to an Ivy League school, or you go to an MIT, or you go to a Naval Academy or West Point, guess what? Everybody is now a big fish. Everybody was in the top 5% of their class. Everybody had a 4.0. Everybody played sports, played the flute, played the clarinet. You're no longer special. But now you have to figure out what separates you from the pack so you can lead from the front. And you gotta start with self-awareness, okay? They always say, when we have an orchestra, right? Sometimes you have to lead the orchestra standing this way, right? You have to lead while other people are watching. Now let's look at a couple other things. Working hard is the cost of entry to everything. Working hard is the cost of entry to everything. I know I have people in this room that, how many of y'all are straight A students or close to it and are doing really well in class at school? Okay, cool. Now, I was too. I had a 3.98, right? So what do you do when you go home? How much do you study? Do you study that much? Or do you say, it's easy, I'm good. I'm not even gonna worry about studying for this test, or even doing this in class, right? Some of you guys may have that. But working hard is the cost of entry to everything. Just because we have a 4.0 and we think we know it all, right? We still have to study. We still have to make things happen. We still have to be on top of our game. I know when I was at Townview, I had a situation where if I got one B, just one, then my rank slipped 35 spots just because I got one B. I could not be off my game. I had to have a 4.0 consistently, and I had to work hard. But know that life is not easy. You're gonna hit yourself on the head, you're gonna get bumps and bruises, you're gonna fall a few times. But you have to get up 10 times when you fall down 9 and understand that working hard and building resiliency is gonna be the key to success when you're in college, when you fail your first exam, because you guys will feel it. If you're straight A students this whole time and you never failed the test, and you get to college and you fail that first calculus exam, and you're like, there's no way I can be this crazy. I just failed my test, right? And you get out of character. It's not that you're not smart. It's that you just need to apply yourself a little bit more. That's all, okay? Have ambition. Develop great ambition to build something of legacy and something meaningful, right? We spend a lot of time sometimes doing things that we think is a benefit to us and a benefit to others, but it's not meaningful. It's not impactful. We have to spend our time as kids and students going into college doing something that's impactful and meaningful, because if we don't do it, we waste what? Time, right? Time is our most valuable asset. If I spend 2-3 years in school thinking I'm gonna do one thing, and all of a sudden I find out that's not what I like to do, what I love, I have now wasted 2-3 years of school. And some of you that may end up paying for school, your parents may end up paying for school, they're not gonna like that one. You're gonna change your major, and it's like, man, I don't even wanna tell my mom and dad about the switch major, I gotta take these classes, and that's gonna cost an extra $20,000. You're gonna be looking at your parent like, I got something to tell you, but let me pack my bags first, and then we're gonna handle that later, right? So make sure you have a great ambition, build something meaningful and impactful, but don't waste time when you're in school, and make sure in your senior year of high school, you have some sort of idea of where you're gonna be and where you wanna go, okay? Success, doing what you wanna do for the rest of your life. Man, as an entrepreneur now, I see and I have a vision. I lead a team now of 35 people nationwide between Dallas, Frisco, Washington, D.C., upstate New York, and Austin. And we are a primarily millennial team, and our team is comprised of folks that work in different industries. But I now see that educating others and inspiring people like yourselves is my passion and what I love to do. And once you find it, y'all, I don't even know how to explain the joy of finding passion and knowing what you want to do in life and knowing how you're going to impact people. It's the best experience ever. So please find that and know what you want to do for the rest of your life. So, reverse engineering mindset. Let's talk about value, right? Provide more value than you ask for in return. It's a big lesson that folks miss. You can ask folks for advice, you can ask folks to do something for you, and ask folks to get something from them, but don't just ask people things when you want to ask and you never come back, because that's going to be perceived as using people. You want to bring more to the table than you ask for in return. Student loans make up 40% of all debt. Millennial debt, and it's the second largest household debt right now. Y'all, we are in $1.3 or $1.4 trillion of debt because of student loans alone. That's bigger than the national debt by $0.1 trillion. But it's not a great thing. We don't want to be stuck in this scenario. We want to have student loans. Of course, sometimes it's needed. We understand that, because not everybody's going to get a scholarship. If you prepare yourself early enough, you have the resources, the people around you that can assist. It doesn't have to be that hard for you. And I'm based in Frisco. Our northern team is a lot of, I think there's 13 of us here in the far north sector alone. We can help do those kinds of things and help you with that. But please ensure that you start early enough. And lastly, do something, right? Do something in your life that you're going to be inspired by when you wake up in the morning. You want to get out of bed and go conquer life and go conquer the world. Do something that you're going to not regret for the rest of your life. Do something that's going to make you happy and you're not going to have to come back and fall back on it. And do something that's going to keep you joyous every day. Because if you don't, your whole life can be lost. You have people, decisions, and lives at stake, and you're not going to want to make the effort to be the best you can be. Always remember to take control. She did mention there's Q&A time, right? So I think I have about 15 minutes for Q&A, or maybe if I didn't go over, maybe I have a little bit more. So I want to offer you guys an opportunity to ask questions. Parents, you can ask questions. Students, you can ask questions. Whatever you would like to know about making that transition from high school to college, or just about college life, or about testing, or whatever you feel like you want to ask right now. Ask. I'm available. Just so you have 15 minutes of time or 20 minutes of time for us to talk candidly. Does anybody have any questions about whatever? It can be about life. As long as it's not about this rain outside. Go ahead.
So when you're in college and you don't get enough scholarships, are there scholarships available for college students?
Say it one more time. A little louder.
Are there scholarships available for college students that are already in college?
Yes. So his question was, are there college scholarships available for students who are already in college? So the answer is yes. While you're in college, whether or not you're in a JUCO or a junior college or a four-year college or university, there are opportunities for you to apply to scholarships while you are in scholarships, while you're in college. And when you go to the requirements for those, it's going to say something like, you have to be a junior or a senior or a sophomore in college for you to apply to these scholarships or to these particular grants. So there's programs that you can get money for where you don't have to worry about maybe another semester of school or half a year or whatever the case may be. You just have to search for those scholarships. I do have, now that you said that, I do have a resource. It's not in this presentation, it's in another presentation. I have a listing of over 25 to 30 links of scholarship stuff. So if anybody in this audience would like that, then just I do have some cards. I do have some papers that have my information on it here. You can grab it and then say, hey, you talked about that listing of scholarship links, and I'll go ahead and send it to you so that way you guys have the access to the scholarships. A good question. Anybody else have questions? Anything? What's up?
What are scholarships like? What do they look for? Is it mainly like grades or like criteria?
So her question was, when you get scholarships or you apply to scholarships, what exactly are people looking for? Now, very broad question because they can look for a lot, right? There are scholarships for folks, like they always say, who are left-handed, right? There are scholarships for folks who have all kind of crazy different things, but the main goal when folks are looking for scholarships are grades, what competitive classes you actually took. Somebody can pit you against somebody else and say, hey, these are two equally good students. This person has a 4.0, this kid has a 4.0. She may have taken 8 AP classes like I did in high school trying to kill myself, right? And then you may have taken all 8 classes that were only regular classes. Well, she's gonna probably get the scholarship before you would. There's nothing wrong with you, it's just that you didn't take the classes that she did that were highly competitive to ensure that she's successful in college like she did, right? So you have to look at what classes you're taking. I do recommend, as a professional in education field, that your junior year you should take at least 5 to 6 APs if you can hack it. At least 5 to 6 AP courses. Your senior year you should take 6 to 7 if you can hack it. And if it's going to rack your brain too much, it's okay to take 5 to 6, but when recruiters or when college admission officers look at your application, they want to see at least roughly about that amount. when you're applying to college. Your sophomore year, at least take 4 to 5 pre-AP classes. Okay, and if you can take them in your freshman year, which most schools now have them in your freshman year and your 8th grade year, you can take maybe about 4 to 5 pre-AP classes there as well. So grades is part of it, right? And then extracurriculars. What are you doing besides studying all the time, right? Are you in band? Are you playing sports? Are you in intramurals? Are you out there working with the community? Are you volunteering? I literally, before I got here today, I was at another event for college and career readiness with an HBCU event. And I had 3 parents come to me yesterday and say, man, my student needs to volunteer because they're trying to apply to this college and they want to see volunteer work. So that's very important when it comes to applying to college as well. So volunteer work, in addition to your grades, in addition to what are you doing outside of school, what kind of impact? That's the buzzword, impact. What kind of impact are you making, right? What kind of projects are you working on outside of school? If you love coding, but that's not your major, are you actually doing a coding project? Are you looking in Java? Are you in ASP.NET? Are you in C#? Are you in Perl script? Are you in Ruby on Rails? What are you actually doing to fulfill your passion project? I will tell you now, I don't know if you're interested in tech, but I know in the tech space, when you work at Google or where I worked at Microsoft, I was at Microsoft for 3 years. I was on the Xbox team at one point in time. So they're looking for you to embellish and work out projects that you can actually have fun doing, right? Some of these companies will let you now take off time, including, I just read an article on Netflix the other day in the Bay Area, and they will allow you to take time off to fulfill personal projects. Because that's just part of the game now, right? So doing those kind of things is also what they're looking for when you apply to college. Good question. Anybody else have a question? Yes, ma'am. You might have to stand up on this one. So I can hear you.
Early college or leaving high school early for like a junior college is a good idea.
Okay, repeat that one more time. Sorry.
Do you believe graduating early or like leaving your high school for like college early is a good idea?
All right, good question. So she said, do I believe that leaving high school early or graduating early is a good idea? So, twofold to that. The answer is not yes. The answer is not no. The answer is it depends. Now, you're looking at somebody, I'm not sure if you were here in the beginning of the keynote, but I graduated high school at 16. I was a freshman at 12 years old. So I was a little bit different than most now, right? I think the average freshman age is 14 nowadays, or 15. So it depends on your maturity level. If you are mature and understand that you can handle high-level work or college-level work at an early age, then I say that it is not a bad idea. But if you do graduate early at 16, or when you barely turn 17, you have to really have what, y'all? Awareness, right? You have to have self-awareness to know you're not in school to play games, right? You're not in school to be the cool girl in town or the cool guy in town, although sometimes it seems cool, right? But you're there to work. You're there to make impacts. You're there to make good grades so that way you can go out and fulfill your passions, right? And make the money you want to make. And you're there to inspire yourself to explore new horizons, right? So I think it's about maturity. I think it's about leveraging your knowledge and what you already know to be able to do great things. And I think it's about really expressing who you are out of that context, right? Have context and be self-aware of what you're doing, and that will guide you in the right direction of what you should do when you graduate early or if you graduate young in a scenario like that. Now, if you just know for sure that you're just wild, I'm not saying you are, but if you know you're wild, then I encourage you to stay in school. Excuse me, even if you have gotten your credits, stay in school for a little bit longer, so that way you can get more inspiration from your colleagues and your peers to make sure you land on your feet when you get out. All right. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
What about homeschooling? How do the universities take into consideration university policies and
For homeschooling. All right, so homeschooling. So we have I know currently right now we have a couple homeschoolers in the tutoring program from Texas Online Prep School and a couple other places. And so based on what they have in their, how I want to say, not curriculum, but what's the word I'm looking for? When people, like when you're in school and you have that guidance, right? That those, like I said, for those policies that align with the Texas state, or if you're going to go to school in Texas or out of state. I think that it's a great thing to have, and the kids that are in homeschool need to be taking high-level courses, enough high-level courses to where they can compare and say, this is what this person would have taken if they were in a Texas state school, or if they're in out-of-state school, and it matches this level, because they're in different contexts, right? Somebody that's in homeschool may be doing something a little bit different in calculus than somebody that's actually in a Texas school system for AP level work, right, than homeschool. But I think homeschool allows you to really hone in and focus on content a little bit more deeper. Like they always say, not to go always wide, but to go small but go deep when you're small, right? So it allows you to have more content knowledge. I think it's a good thing. I think it's homeschool is kind of coming up on the horizon because public school system sometimes has a tendency to not be a favorite. But I'm an advocate of public school because I graduated from a public school system, right? And I turned out okay, right? I'm all right a little bit, you know what I mean? But I think it's prevalent, it's very prevalent to your kid being successful when they're in homeschool. You just have to make sure they have the right mix of skills and the right mix of classes in order to be comparable so they can graduate at the same level as somebody that was already in a traditional public school or charter school or private school would already have. Right? When it comes to private schools, it's kind of funny. Did I answer your question now? A little bit? Okay. Yeah, they're very similar, basically. Yeah, it's almost like being in a private school, but you just got to expand the courses a little bit more and have that curriculum at home and have different kind of books and online type of all that kind of stuff. But I have a lot more information too about that you can reach out to for me as well. I do want to touch on something real quick about private school. How many of y'all honestly think from a private school, just a straight private school perspective, that private school is better than anything else? How many of y'all honestly think that? Okay, cool. So nobody, well, one person or two people do. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of eye-opener real quick. In my tutoring program, we tutor students from St. Mark's, Green Hill, ESD, okay, Cistercian, Jesuit, and other private schools. Here's what I found to be quite eye-opening. In tutoring students from private school sectors, and here in the city of DFW, they end up not being more prepared than the students in public school, except for St. Mark's. It's something about St. Mark's, I don't know what it is. I know they have a really tough curriculum, and they have an awesome staff, but the kids that come in are not as prepared in their content in private school than they are coming from public school. So these parents are paying thousands of dollars for their kids not to be where they should be, which is eye-opening because public school is free and they end up being behind my students who are in public school. So keep it in mind. We do have Frisco ISD, we do have Plano ISD, we do have McKinney, Highland Park, and all that. But what people fail to realize is that we actually have some of the top schools in Dallas ISD. Although it's, everybody always claims it's bad, but Townview Science Engineering, where I graduated from, was now I think the number 5 school in the U.S., but Dallas actually has 5 of the top 10 U.S. high schools inside of Dallas. Y'all know that? And they're not private. They're public schools that are either, some of them, a very few amount of them are charter school, but the magnet schools are the top, and they're not private. So think about that when you're making decisions about your education, is that it's not always the far north Dallas districts that are the best in schools. There are other schools that are out there that are also just as great. So, any other questions? Oh, yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that Xbox project. How do you find projects like that?
How do you find like personal projects or?
Any of the projects that you want to say enhance your resume. You just mentioned that.
Yeah. Yes, yes, technically. So those particular projects are called passion projects, and what that means is that when you find out something that you love to do, it may not be in your major or something that you're remotely doing because it's your job, but it's something that you just like to do. For example, I'm just gonna make this up because I'm just gonna give you a generalized scenario, but if I like to knit quilts, not even quilts, let's X that out, that's old school. Let's bring it back to 2018. All right, so let's say I wanna make clothes, right? I'm in fashion design, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and see if I can get me a sewing machine. I'm trying to build me some nice fashion, right? I'm gonna take that fashion, and those of you that like fashion like I do, you probably heard the New York Fashion Week was last week, right? So I'm gonna take that piece of fashion, I'm gonna go to New York Fashion Week, and I'm gonna start designing and displaying my work and see if I can get it on Fashion Week, right? But I spend hours and days and times developing this fashion, right? Knitting these things up, making these designs, making all these drawings. Like, it's something that is not what I'm doing at work, but I just love to happen. I just like fashion. I just like shoes. I just like clothes. I like blazers. I like socks. You know what I mean? So those are called passion projects, things that you love to do that make impact. That's what they want to see. What do you love to do that can make an impact for the greater good, which then turns them more so into social type of things. I know do I still have time for a couple?
One more.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Second. So passion, Passion, like passion, and like what you love to do, and then projects, passion project. That was quick enough. I can probably take another. Okay.
So if you go back in time now
Right.
and give yourself advice
Uh-huh.
when you were starting college, your freshman year,
Uh-huh.
what advice would you give yourself?
Awesome.
Or what advice would you give yourself?
All right, good question. So if I was back in school now, and I kind of wish I was sometimes, right? It's hard to be an entrepreneur, right? So one is I would spend a little bit more time finding out a little bit more about business, right? About how to, now that I'm in a company, how to start companies, right? How to do more in operations, how to do more in finance, and how to manage all of that, right? That's one thing. Two is being in a scenario where I can find people who can help me get scholarships, right? Even though I got enough for school in my time, I didn't always have, my parents helped me out, but outside of my parents, I didn't always have people that were going to help me do that, right? Counselors weren't always on their job doing stuff, so I had to figure that out. But I had to get somebody else to help me with that. And then three is, I would actually, looking back at it now, one thing I would change is maybe experiencing school a little bit more. Now, when I was talking to the young lady up there, we talked a little bit more about maturity. I was mature in my age, being young, but I didn't exactly get a chance to have all the experiences I wanted to have, right? Especially being at the Naval Academy, right? So you have a different type of school that you have, and you don't get a chance to be in a traditional school environment. But being around more of my friends, but I moved around a lot. My parents were military, so I moved around like this. I didn't get a chance to stick with my friends all the time. So just being more aware of who was around me, being able to experience more things and be a little bit more broad, and discover myself a little bit more than I did. That's what I would tell myself now. That it? I think, yeah, go ahead. All right, I know. I gotta get all these questions out. Come on, we got. I think you have one too. We'll do you, then we'll do. I think we have to go. Go ahead.
Would it be better to have scholarships or less competitive school where you're like the average student and get a lot of scholarships, or go to a school where you would receive scholarships but it would be very competitive environment?
Okay. Say it one more time, but break it down a little bit more for me so I can kind of get the crux of what you're really asking. Go ahead.
Would it be better to go to a school where it's less competitive but you get more scholarships?
Okay.
Or would I go to a school where it's more competitive and you won't get scholarships?
Oh, good question. That's a hard one. In my opinion, I think it's better to go to a more competitive school and have less of an opportunity to get scholarships, but you can still get them. Does that make sense? But equally as important, I also think you can go to a less competitive school, have opportunity to get more scholarships, but it's not as prestigious. For example, I'm just ballparking because I can't remember the exact score, but I think I had like roughly in the 20s somewhere in the ACT, and I think I had like maybe a 13 something on the SAT, which is, it's kind of average, right? It's okay. I mean, I think it's good, it's good, but it's not like superior. But I had a 3.98 GPA in school, right? I took enough classes to where I wouldn't have issues. So the formula, you guys, is very complex for college and entrance and admissions. So you can get into an Ivy League not having as great grades, but having a great SAT or ACT score. But just as equal, you can have a not as great SAT or ACT score and just have a 4.0 or 5.0, whatever scale you're on, and still get in. It's weird, but you can still get in, believe it or not. You have different rules. The algorithm is totally different, right? So, but in all cases, I think it's better to be at a Ivy League or a top school with less chances to get scholarships, but you still have opportunities. But just as cool as having a lower level school for having a chance to gain a lot more scholarships. Does that make sense? You had one quick one, right? Right, ma'am? You had one quick one, right? Earlier? No, the one behind you. You had one quick one earlier, no? So we're good? All right, well, guys, if you have any more questions, I do have a flyer that you can grab if you want to email me or something like that as well.
All right.